So, a while ago, the government actually released information about aliens and extraterrestrial life. So, today I wanted to kind of take a look at that. And I know it's kind of weird I'm doing this kind of late, but there's actually a really good reason why I'm actually doing this late, or talking about this late. And also, there's a lot more to this than just, there being, aliens. But like I said, I feel like there's a lot more to this. So, please stick around and watch until the end. So, welcome to the Wisdom Channel, where we talk about theology, the Bible, and just in general give our perspective on modern day issues through the biblical lens. Now, today, like I said in the intro, we're going to be talking about aliens, which I like. Okay, I know it's interesting because I'm a Christian channel. Why are we talking about aliens on a Christian channel? Which I know it seems kind of crazy, but I feel like this relates heavily to, especially in the end times, or like what the Bible's talking about, or maybe not the end times, but just all the spiritual stuff in general. But yeah, now, if you, like I said, please watch until the end. If you like this video, please like it, sub if you like all our videos, and it would help us out a lot, or share it to people who, you think would be interested or need to, listen to this. But yeah, now, the place we're going to go to is actually, I believe, the Department of War. Because I believe basically what happened a few weeks ago, there was like a whole story, because somebody told me like a whole story. I'm not going to go into that, but like, a whole story of what led up to this. But I believe there was like, a few weeks ago they released, like, they said they had a lot of like footage over the years from like UFOs specifically. Like this, I think all this footage we're going to see is like UFOs, I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked at it yet because I wanted to save it for this video. But yeah, this is like all like UFO stuff. And again, this is like on the official, government Department of War website. Or at least this is the website that I found. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look at this. And man, it's just, lately there's been so many crazy stuff being, found out about the government. We got Epstein stuff going on in the, geopolitically, and then now aliens. So let's just go ahead and look at this. Okay, so like I said, here we are. We are now on their website. As you can see, it says U.S. Department of War, and then also we see NZ.gov. So that's Google telling us that, hey, we're on an official government website. So it looks like, and sorry if I'm a little bit lost here. I don't go on government websites much. Most of my information I just find anywhere else online. I mean, I don't trust the government much. But as you can see here, it looks like these are all photographs. I wonder if any of these are actually videos. I'm not too sure, but it looks like those are some kind of coordinates of where they are. This is when it released. I think it's May 1st. Okay, cleared for release. I wonder if these are released all at once, or if they're like going into. It's going to be like a gradual process, But actually, let's read the statement. It says the man, I can't speak today, guys. What? Okay, the Department of War is in lockstep with President Trump to bring unprecedented transparency regarding our government's understanding of unidentified anomalous phenomena. These files, hidden behind classifications, have long fueled justice speculation, and it's time the American people see it for themselves. The release of declassified documents demonstrates the Trump administration's earnest commitment to unprecedented transparency. United States Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. So, if you've been keeping up at all with like stuff like politics or government, especially our government, just reading this, you could, and I guess I'll kind of get into this in a little bit, but just reading this, you kind of know like what the purpose of this is, like why they're doing this. Like they're trying to be like more transparent, but. Obviously, you could tell this is just like hypocritical, because obviously stuff like Epstein are not being transparent. Yeah, they released the files, but obviously a lot of this stuff was blacked out, so it's just they're just being hypocritical. It's crazy, bro. But let's just go ahead and look at these, I guess. I mean, so like I said, those are the coordinates. I have no idea how to read map coordinates, by the way, so I'm not even going to try to guess where these are. But I guess that's the date. No, okay, release number 1. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the name, but it gives us. Okay, I think. Okay, these are when all these came out. So let's just take. I'll see this. So I can't really tell what's going on. Is this censored or? Oops, sorry. Wonder if all these gray boxes, like, are those censored, like information or what? So I think this is what the thing is right here. Let me like zoom in, but I think. So a lot of these pictures, other pictures I've already have seen, like online, a lot of them appear to be like weird orb shapes. I don't know if the actual like UFO, whatever it is like actually like orb like that. But yeah, it kind of looks like a star. So there's one. So oh, here we go. We can see the ground, but I don't know what all this is right there. I can't really see really. I'm pretty sure anybody in the comments can help me. Also, by the way, I don't know if I already said this, but if anybody in the comments has more information, if I get anything wrong talking about anything in this video, please correct me, and I would love to talk in the comments because this is some really interesting stuff, guys. But yeah, oh, here we go. They're locked onto one, so that's something else weird. Oh, it looks like it already got shot down, but I think it's like some kind of like weird speck, or it looks like a speck. It probably isn't just a speck, obviously, but whoa. That looks interesting. That was like one of the. Do you remember? Well, I don't know if anybody like watches videos played Fortnite, but it kind of looks like one of those giant alien ships from the the Fortnite season with the aliens. I'm not gonna lie, sorry, I just saw that out. But it looks like, yeah, a lot of these you can't see clear, obviously. But yeah, like I said, this is all some interesting stuff. But I just want to go in and get into the main thing I want to talk about regarding this. And my point, like what I was saying earlier, I kind of hit at this earlier, but my point is that I hate to say it, but all this alien stuff is just a distraction, and like, or I believe it's just a distraction. Of course, I mean, you never know for sure. And actually, pertaining to the alien stuff that we just talked about and we just looked at, there is something interesting. I kind of, if I could find like, if I can find some like evidence to kind of show y'all, but there is something interesting I actually want to like show with y'all. But anyways, I feel like this is all just a distraction of the real stuff's going on, and you may already know it, but it's obviously the Epstein stuff. Like, I mean, just thinking about it, right? When you're in controversy, especially if you're like Trump or like you're in a circle, or you know you visited Epstein Island, like you're one of any of those people, right? If you're in controversy, and I mean, there's all this evidence, and it's like it's either people are like either saying that hey you're a part of Epstein, you did the things he did, or hey, if you deny it, you're gonna have to show the files. And obviously, if you were just to redact the files and deny, obviously, I mean, you look like a liar. But if you were to actually fully show the files, then obviously it shows that, hey, you were lying. So, again, the best way of course, it's hard to get out of a situation like this, but the best thing that I feel like they're going to try to do is, like, to distract us to, like, make up some, like, other news that seems bigger than Epstein, like, you know, because Epstein's bad, but I don't know if you're making up news saying that, oh, we found aliens exist. Again, I'm not saying aliens don't exist. Okay, I believe technically yes, aliens do exist. Again, I haven't really explained much like my belief on aliens. I do. I'm not too sure if like the aliens that we think about, like how we think of aliens exist, but I do believe obviously as a Christian, there's more. You know, there's a more advanced life outside of the earth. Obviously, we have heaven, we have angels, we have demons, we have spirits, like, and God Himself. So obviously, yes, by that definition of like any living thing outside the earth, yes, I do believe in aliens. But I don't know if I believe in like I don't know some like creatures on other planets. Now, am I open to it? Yes, I just obviously I want to believe something that's logical to believe in. Now I don't know if an atheist is gonna watch this video and be like, oh, you're a Christian. You believe in empty face. Now, I do want to make a video like explaining why I'm a Christian. I won't really get into it today, but my philosophy is like I want to believe something if either A, I have proof, or B, if it's like if there's no proof, but there's a logical reason to believe in it. You know, like Christianity, like yeah, there's some proof, but like obviously we don't have like hard evidence. Like I don't know, I can't just have like wave my hands and just open heaven and just prove to every atheist that I guess they're wrong, but again, there's a reason why I believe in Jesus, right? But yeah, like I said, this is again what their tactic is, and I feel like if you actually study history, you'll discover that this tactic is used a lot, and maybe a lot of things that we learned in history was the result of this. But they're in hot water with us, the people, so they need to like create some like crazier, or at least seemingly crazier news to like distract us. And I feel like our response to this is we got to keep talking about Epstein, right? Like, I remember, like, it's crazy, like, Epstein's been blowing up the past couple months, but you got to remember, like, this was, like, a thing, like, a long time ago, and now it's just getting talked about, and even, like, he's even been a controversial figure, like, for years, and now it's just getting talked about, like, crazy, but we need to keep talking about it, because that's the thing, like, they're playing the waiting game, I mean, not only are they going to make crazy news to distract us with like wars like with Iran, or trade wars with China, or aliens. Like they're gonna like I said, they're trying to distract us. But not only are they going to try to distract us, but they're going to keep doing that and play the waiting game until eventually it fizzles out and nobody like cares to talk about it anymore because there's no new information. But we need to keep talking about this. We can't just let this stuff go. We got to hold these people accountable. So that's my main point of this video. Like, if you're watching this, like, keep talking about it. Okay, I don't care how you do it. Keep talk. We got to keep this mainstream, right? Until people get what they deserve. Or at least everybody knows about how the people they vote and support, what they're really like. But yeah, that's basically my main point of this video. But hey, please don't click off. There's more. So this Republican politician, I think she's a congresswoman in Florida. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong. I think we can find it on here, but her name is Anna Paulina Luna. I think that's her name. But yeah, she actually did speak out. I think she went on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day, and she did actually speak out about aliens. So again, on this news it says Republican Anna Paulina Luna, Republican Florida, said during a Wednesday podcast episode with Joe Rogan that lawmakers have seen evidence of interdimensional beings, which is very interesting because if you read the Bible, especially there's this one part, I think near the end, this one part of the book of Daniel that I actually want to look at that pertains to this. But she said they're interdimensional, which I guess what she's kind of coming at is that, yeah, like, the thing is, even though they exist, we can't really see them in the way we sense the world because they operate in some like different dimension that we can't see. So let's see. I think they continue saying that. I think they can naturally operate through time spaces that we currently have. Luna said during the podcast, and that's not something I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff we've seen. So again, I was gonna say like, again, I don't know how much with authority you could take this because I think this is just one, I guess, kind of lower ranked politician. But no, this choosing like this is what I think. I don't know what she meant by like everyone, like the whole government or what. But assuming that she means that's basically the government confirming this, which is crazy, especially if you read the book of Daniel, especially near the end. But yeah, that's crazy. Like I said, we're gonna actually take a look at the book of Daniel in a second, just so I could y'all could better understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so like I said, here we are in the book of Daniel, specifically Daniel chapter 10. And I wanted to go here because I feel like there's a very interesting correlation of what's in, what Luna said with what's in Daniel chapter 10. Now, I do actually encourage you later on to read this yourself. I mean, you should be reading the Bible yourself anyways. But like I said, I do encourage you to also just read this passage yourself. But like I said, there's a very interesting correlation. Now, also, I'm sorry if I get anything wrong. If you're an expert when it comes to like the Bible and theology and all that, or just with the ancient manuscripts, or just researching like the Bible, please correct me down below if I'm wrong, or like I guess better explain what I'm saying. Because again, when it comes to especially like prophetic text, especially because some of this like this section of the book of Daniel, the book of Daniel, it does also kind of talk about the end times, so it's really confusing. Because I remember when I was reading this, it was like, what do I deter from what's going to come shortly after this was written, or what's going to come way after like the end times? But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm only going to read pieces. So basically, what's going on is Daniel, right? This is during the time of Israel captivity, where they're like most of them are away from their land, and they're in parts of Babylon, which is actually this was just after Babylon was dethroned. I believe it's Persia. Yeah. So this is this part of the time where Persia was just overthrown. Now Daniel, I believe he's just walking, right? And like I said, treat yourself. I'm sorry if I get anything wrong, but he's walking. He sees a man, but it's not a normal man. It's like the man has all these crazy effects that a normal man would not have. Like, believe it should be, I guess, describing him right there. Yeah, some like mineral around his waist. His body's like topaz, so obviously not a normal man. His face was lightning, his eyes was like flaming torches, and I believe this man was like a messenger from heaven. It wasn't God himself, but it was like a messenger. And basically, I believe what he explains to David, Daniel, if we go down, so he says, in verse 20, so he said, why do you? By the way, this is like I said, Daniel's account, so he's quoting what the man's about to say. So he said, "Do you know why I've come to you?" Soon I will return to fight against the prince of Persia, and when I go up, the prince of Greece will come. But first I will tell you what is written in the book of truth. No one supports me against him except for Michael, your prince. So, again, very crazy. Like I said, it makes no sense if you really don't know the context or really just not good at understanding like biblical poetry. But basically, like I said, this weird messenger from heaven comes to greet Daniel. Basically, tells him that he's about to fight against the prince of Persia, and then when he leaves, the prince of Greece will come. So if you correlate this with history, basically what happens, like I said, yeah, Babylon, right? They just got overthrown and invaded by Persia. But then after that, I believe Persia gets divided up. Yeah, they get carved up, kind of like they just fall apart into like subdivisions. And then Greece, with Alexander the Great comes, invades all of them, and they have the king, Alexander, and he controls everything. So that with that being said, and by the way, all this happens like Persia getting split up, or Persia falling, getting divided, and then invaded by Greece happens like way after this book was written, or this part of the book was written. So yeah, that's very interesting, and it just goes to show how like the Bible, what the Bible says is true. How the Bible like predicts stuff like this. But yeah, if you again correlate this with like you kind of correlate this with spiritual warfare, because like this is one of the only passages in the Bible where like we actually kind of see spiritual warfare like in its work. And apparently like what happens? He had this like messenger of heaven, whoever he was. He was going to come to fight the king of Persia, which assuming he won, right? Because I mean, look what happened to Persia. It doesn't even exist anymore. Okay. But and then he said the prince of Greece will come, and obviously what happened? We had the Greek Empire. So it just goes to show there's stuff like, of course we have fighting like physically, like we have politicians, we have wars, we have soldiers, we have weapons and all that, but there's something that there's literally fighting in the spiritual realm which we don't see, which again kind of correlates with like what she said. Like there's like if we go back to it, let me kind of go back to what she specifically said, but. She's that they're interdimensional beings. So again, they're in some weird dimension that we can't see them, because obviously we don't see angels or anything. And also, I just want to mention, like we see, if you see Michael, that actually does. It's talking about Michael the angel. You might be wondering why is it saying prince? Well, again, it's kind of like a weird translating thing. Like when he says prince, he just means like kind of leader, like. Yeah, just like lead or something. And it's kind of explained in this book that how like now I don't know if it's like this for every nation or like today. I don't know specifically how spiritual warfare is going on today. I mean, obviously it still exists today, and yeah, obviously there's Satan and all that. But apparently, what it kind of makes it out is like all these nations, especially evil nations. There's all these evil entities like kind of controlling them. Like you have like a physical leader. Like for example, in the USA, obviously Trump is the leader of the US. But then in the spiritual realm, I guess in a spiritual sense, there's this like either demon or angel like controlling them, and they like fight over it for like either. Crap, my webcam just turned off. Yeah, sorry guys for that random interruption. My webcam just randomly decided to cut off, and it's kind of kept doing it, so hopefully it doesn't go off while I'm recording. Hey, maybe it's spiritual warfare. Maybe Satan doesn't want me to upload this. But anyways, like I was saying, like there's always these spiritual forces kind of fighting over like parts of the world or different nations or whatever. It's like either you have the angels or godly beings that, or when I say godly, I don't mean they literally have powers of God. It's just they are of God. They're on God's side, but either fighting over the control of areas to keep it righteous and abiding with the Lord, or you have the demonic beings that want to steer away from the Lord. Unfortunately, I think the U.S. has. I think if this is like how it is today. I think the U.S. is probably has a demon controlling it for sure, but yeah, as you can see, like Michael, like no one is again. One part says no one supports me against, no one supports me against him except for Michael, your prince, and of course it's talking about again is when it says prince, it means like kind of leader over the world, like we were just talking about. So yeah, that's kind of how the book of Daniel explains it, which is very interesting. Like I said, very similar to what she said. And what I'm saying right here just kind of leads me to my like last and final major point. I believe that like all these sightings like the government found, I think at least some of them are legit. Now, I'm not gonna lie, maybe some of them are like completely faked, or it's like maybe when they record it, they're like, "Ooh, what is this?" And then maybe they like after the recording, because again, these are all like obviously these were all released like a few weeks ago or a few days ago, but these clips have been like a collection they've had over the decades probably. So like I said, maybe some of them they truly didn't know what it was, but maybe like halfway after they recorded it to when they were like published it or like released it, maybe they figured out that maybe it was like a spec or something. I don't know, man. But my next point is like, maybe if all these are real, what if the aliens that we're so like fixated on are actually just like demons, angels, or something, like some spiritual like beings just like moving through, or like, you know, through this realm, this physical realm. That's what we see. Because again, a lot of these clips that we looked at kind of look like flames or like light or like plasma kind of sort of thing. And if you read the book of Daniel, now know a lot of times you don't want to take the, you know, it's biblical poetry, so maybe it's not literally like, maybe what was presented to Daniel was just to like a vision so he could understand like the true meaning. Maybe they're not literally like flames or something, but we, like I said, we don't know. There's so many questions, but my point is that maybe all these aliens are just the angels, just like going through like different realms or something, like through the physical or spiritual realm. That's what we're seeing, especially if you're saying it's like interdimensional, invisible beings. But like I said, pretty interesting. Like regardless if they are or not, like I said, I feel like we should be mainly fixated on Epstein and all the horrors that the government's, well, I wouldn't say doing right now. They've always been doing this stuff, but the horrors that we figured out recently. And yeah, that's kind of my main point. We need to like stay awake about this stuff, you know. And because like I said, like, yeah, maybe it is big, maybe it's all real, but again, like I said, we don't really, if you're a Bible believing Christian, information about angel spiritual warfare, life outside of Earth, it's nothing new to us, or right? Like the Bible tells us what to do, like spread the message, abide in the Lord, come to Jesus, and you know, do everything He commanded Him to do, and practice. You know, don't, you know, fight away from spiritual temptations, and know that they exist. So again, us Christians, we already know about this, right? Or at least assuming that these aren't like aliens, like how we think, and like, you know, just spiritual entities and spiritual warfare. Like, we already know what to do with this. But like I said, I feel like we should focus on Epstein. But hey, if you're watching this and you're not saved, dude, you gotta come to Christ, bro. Like, especially today. Like, we don't know when Jesus can come back, but even then, like, again, everything that goes on in this world goes on with all this alien shenanigans. It makes so much sense if you just follow Jesus. Like, hey, we don't know what's gonna happen after. Again, we don't. Apparently, the government doesn't even know like what to make of all this alien stuff, but God knows. And if you're really skeptical, like I said, please just come to Jesus. I'm gonna make a video like explaining why I think you should come to Jesus, like in depth, like why you should believe in the Bible, why it's credible. What else? How probably how it hooks up to today, right? But like I said, especially, I mean, it doesn't matter what era of like the world we're in. Like, you should always have been, you know, coming to Jesus. But like I said, especially today, you need to come to Jesus. Like, things will make so much sense. Life will be so much. Well, life will make so much more sense. And you'll know what to do in situations in life. But yeah, like I said, if you're watching this, and you're not safe, please, I recommend you just come to Jesus. And if you have any questions, thoughts, please comment down below. Like I said, if you watch until the end, thank you so much. And I kind of saw back to the recordings of this. I said like so much. So also, just to know if you paid attention, how many times did I say like? Like I said like so much, man. It's so funny. But hey, I hope you enjoyed it. Sub, like I said, but most importantly, just come to get right with Jesus. Like, hey, the worst that could happen, hey, if you die, at least you're saved. You know, you can live eternally in Him. But like I said, thank you so much for watching. Peace.